Here at Paddy Power, we're the home of the Money Back Special, with some incredible offers every single week. Check out the website or app today. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus begambleaware.org.
Welcome along to the GAA Postcast in association with Paddy Power. I'm David Jennings from the Racing Post, and joining me to preview a whopper weekend of GAA action is our red hot football pundit Paddy O'Rourke and Paddy Ahern from our sponsors Paddy Power, while hurling expert Aidan Fogarty will be with us in part 2 to give you all the best bets in the hurling championship. Just the 16 matches to get through this weekend, but before we preview them, we're going to have our regular 3 quickfire questions, and the first 3 are for you, Paddy O'Rourke. Number 1, what is the biggest thing you've learnt in 2019 so far?
Dublin are still a mile ahead of everybody else. Yes,
I think we'll all agree. A mile.
Oh, an absolute country mile. All the talk of that their league form had gone to pot and whatnot, but no, they're a well-oiled machine and they're ready for the drive for 5.
Okay, number 2. Who is the most undervalued and underrated footballer in Ireland?
I'd stick with our own. Think Donald Keoghan. I think he's up there with one of the best defenders in Ireland at the moment and has been for the last 5 or 6 years. It's just Meath haven't gone far enough in the championship for him to get the recognition he deserves.
Would he get in the Dublin team?
Every day of the week.
Perfect. Number 3. What county will be next to win the All-Ireland after Dublin, and in what year will it be?
Dublin's B team in 2023. I suppose you'd have to look at maybe Tyrone, maybe in 2 years' time, 3 years' time.
Okay, so we're talking Tyrone, maybe 2022. Okay, very good. I disagree, but it's a game of opinions. Okay, Paddy Ahern, your 3 quickfire questions. How was last weekend from a Paddy Power perspective on the football front, and what was your worst result?
Yeah, you look at this as kind of a collective. So for football and hurling, we did our brains, but that was mostly because of the hurling, to be fair. In football, Kildare were a bad result. People had kind of copped on. I think that the replay wasn't going to be as tough for them, and yeah, we took a fair bit at the 1-2, and on the handicaps as well, we got cleaned out a bit on them.
Okay, so it was a bad weekend at last for Paddy Power. Okay, number 2, what was the biggest bet struck with Paddy Power last weekend, and who was it on?
Yeah, it was back in Kildare as well. There was a guy, I think somebody had about $2,500 in them with the 1-2 to win the match. Apart from that, there was just little nibbles and stuff on the Cavan and Armagh, but definitely the biggest bet was on the Kildare game, alright.
Okay, so $2,500 in Kildare, 1-2. That punter had no worries whatsoever. And your third and final question, are the first round of the football qualifiers traditionally good or bad for Paddy Power?
Yeah, it's a great question because I had to go back into the archives to have a look a bit. Last year was really, really good, but I think it was mainly coming down to the Meath getting the draw against Tyrone. It's made about 25% last year, so it was very good. The year before that, all the favourites ones were down about 12%, and then the year before, I think we made a couple of quid as well. So generally, like, there's always kind of going to be 8 games. If we can get one favourite beat or one kind of anyway short price favourite beat, they're generally good enough for us. But yeah, if that doesn't happen, you're kind of facing down the barrel a bit.
Well, in my 6 or 7 years as a GAA tipster in the Racing Post, I think this is the weekend to make money. This is the weekend to make hay, and I think I found an absolute certainty in the football qualifiers. So stay tuned to find out what it is. Okay, so it's time to move on to this weekend's action. It's a jam-packed weekend, as we've already said, so we're going to fly through these games and we're going to give you all the best bets. And probably the most interesting game of the whole weekend is at Kingspan Breffni Park on Saturday evening, 5 o'clock, live on RTE and BBC. It is the Ulster Superpowers Tyrone against Donegal. Paddy Ahern, can we get some prices and handicaps?
Yeah, Tyrone are 8-13. The draw is 7-1. Donegal are 15-8. Tyrone -2 is 6-5. The handicap draw is 9-1. Donegal +2 is 5-6.
Paddy O'Rourke, who are better prepared to tackle Dublin in 2019? We know Dublin, as you've said already, are miles clear, but are Donegal or are Tyrone in a better position to get close to Dublin?
I think Tyrone are a good bit ahead of Donegal in that preparation. I think Donegal had their Division 2 run-in was hampered with McBrearty been missing and Michael Murphy been missing, so them boys haven't been up to speed fully yet together. They've only had maybe 2 weeks since that game with Fermanagh, so I think I'd be sticking with Tyrone.
Okay, I could not disagree more, so that's what's going to make it very interesting. I think Donegal are the most underrated team in Ireland. Paddy Ahern, who impressed you most in the opening outings in Ulster, Donegal or Tyrone?
I would say Donegal. Tyrone, in fairness, they were a little bit under the caution the Derry match, but they went and they finished it well. They're scoring well. I would have a little bit of a concern about them defensively, funny enough, considering how strong they were in the last couple of years, especially in Ulster. But the goals that they're conceding and the space it seems to be in that back line when, especially kind of on the counter-attack and that kind of stuff. Like the two goals that Antrim scored were very well taken, and in fairness, so was the one against Derry. But like there still seems to be pockets of space that teams can hit Tyrone with, and I think Donegal are very well placed to expose that. And the thing about Donegal, I mean, it's really, really hard to play against Fermanagh, it seems, these days, especially in Brewster Park. There was very limited space, but they just bided their time. They took their chances when they needed to. They have long-range shooters like Murphy and McBrearty back in. Jamie Brennan as well. Like he seems to have a great action where he's 35 yards out and it just like a very kind of small little backswing, and he seems to be able to score points from anywhere. I was impressed with them more so against Fermanagh, just the way Fermanagh set up. Fermanagh were never going to win the game, but I thought Donegal closed it out fairly impressively, to be fair.
Yeah, and I think the big thing for me in that game was, like, you see Paddy McBrearty had so long out through injury, but while he didn't look 100% just on the kind of, as fitness-wise, he didn't look at his peak. Like, he scored 5 points. He was involved in everything. I was surprised at how up to speed he was. And I think if you take in Michael Murphy, Jamie Brennan scored 4 points, Leo McClune, Michael Lang and Kieran Thompson, I actually think at the minute, Paddy O'Rourke, that Donegal actually have a better set of forwards than Tyrone do.
Yeah, free scoring forwards, yeah, probably do. But I think the jury is still out on Donegal. I just can't really warm them yet. They have to go and take a big scalp yet before I'll see them as All-Ireland contenders. And maybe this is the weekend, but I don't see it.
I think they're going to convince you this weekend, Paddy. Remember in 2018, they gave Dublin their biggest test last year, and I think they're a better side this year. So Paddy O'Rourke, who wins and why?
Tyrone -2, it's 6-5, and under points, 34.5 points is massive for an Ulster game. I think that at 10-11 could go into a lot of people's accumulators.
Now, Paddy O'Rourke, you've been exceptional so far in this podcast. Like, you've really, like, you've increased our listeners. You know, everybody wants to know what Paddy O'Rourke is tipping every week, okay? But they are 2 losers that you've already tipped, and we've only done the first game. What do you have to say?
Things can only get better. Things can only get better.
I actually think it'll be overs, and I think Donegal will win. So, Paddy Ahern, you've the casting vote.
Yeah, I'm with DJ in this one as well. I cannot see this game being low scoring. Just with I think with both teams, the way they're just going to punch holes everywhere. Like what you kind of find with these games with Donegal, like even the likes Paddy McGrath, Owen Ball Gallagher, Ryan McHugh, like everybody they're just going to attack in waves. They're just going to counter-attack the other, especially on the other side as well, when you've got guys like Cassidy, Tiernan McCann. I think everybody, it's just going to be kind of 13 guys pushing forward, the other 13 guys pushing back forward. Conditions, I think, are going to be fairly okay. I think there's enough space in both backlines when they lose the ball that people are like, the both teams are going to score pretty heavily. And I thought that goals were kind of going to be the order of the day here. I thought both teams to score goals, 6-5 was a bet, and I thought that Donegal, if you're looking at 9-4 over 1.5, considering that the goals that Tyrone have been kind of showing that they've been conceding the first 2 games in Ulster, I think there's a huge threat there for Donegal with the forwards they have and with the runners they have also.
Before we move on, Paddy Ahern, when you were pricing this up, I have to say I was very, very surprised that there was such a gap between the two sides. I thought this might be, 8-11, 5-4 kind of thing. 8-13 and 15-8. 15-8 Donegal. Have you seen much interest in that? Because I think that is absolutely massive.
Yeah, funny enough, we haven't, because I mean we're top price Tyrone now in the minute, and that's the side that people are moving to and are siding with. I think a lot of people kind of, they might find it hard to trust Donegal because we laid them pretty heavily for that game in Ballybuffet last year, which they looked like they had the win in the game for about 50 minutes and then kind of collapsed. Tyrone, in fairness, really closed it out very, very well that day. But I think Donegal are a bit different. I think Donegal have come on a bit. A couple of those younger fellas are a year older, and I think the addition of Stephen Rochford is a huge plus for them. Like, I think much more in terms of the way he was with Mayo, I think he's more of a coach than an actual, kingpin top manager. Like John Kiley of Limerick is saying that a manager of an intercounty team this year, it's almost like a director of football or a director of hurling, that you're managing 20 people. I think this guy can just focus on the football. He can just focus on coaching, which he would have done with Corfin before he got in with Mayo, and I think that's going to really, really be a massive advantage to Donegal in compared to the last couple of years.
Okay, 2 votes for Donegal, 1 vote for Tyrone. You'll find out at 5 o'clock on Saturday at Kingspan Breffni Park who is right. And there'll be plenty of slagging next weekend anyway when we find out the official result. Okay, moving on to the qualifiers. It is the first round. There are 4 games on Saturday evening. Starting off at 1:30 at O'Connor Park in Tullamore. It is Offaly v London. Some prices and handicaps, Paddy.
Yeah, it's a 7-point handicap. Offaly are 1-8, 14-1 to draw, 13-2 London.
Paddy O'Rourke, what is the best bet on this match coupon?
London to score over 12.5 points is 11-10, and I see that as a big bet.
Okay, say that again. London to score over
12.5.
Okay, so if you score 13, you score 110, you collect. Paddy Ahern, your best bet on the coupon?
Yeah, I thought London +7 as well. I just think that they played very, very well against Galway. They seem to be together. They're pretty well set up, and I can definitely see them staying within.
Okay, moving on to 3 o'clock at Park. Sean McDermott in Carrick-on-Shannon. It is Leitrim v Wicklow. Paddy Ahern, some prices?
Yeah, it's 8-15 Leitrim, 15-2 the draw, 21-10 Wicklow, and it is a 2-point handicap.
Okay, listen up, podcast listeners. This is the best bet of the weekend. Leitrim -2 is an absolute steal. I think they could win by double figures. Paddy Ahern, am I right or wrong?
I 100% disagree. I think Wicklow is a great bet. I think Wicklow are a brilliant bet to win this.
Okay, you make your case.
Yeah, I think John Evans just has this. I think when he gets teams involved and when he gets teams going, especially in qualifiers and that kind of stuff, that they're really going to play from. And Emlyn Mulligan has left the panel for Leitrim. There was a couple of young fellas who left the panel before the Roscommon game. The Roscommon game, you would have thought they would have put up a little bit of a better performance. Now Roscommon have Frank the Form, fair enough, but I just think the league all of a sudden just was just the biggest target for Leitrim. I think after that defeat to Derry in Croke Park, I just think the season's fizzling out a small bit. I think Wicklow have a really good record in the qualifiers. Conor McGrainer is back. They've got a few guys in from Dublin. They seem to be playing well. They hadn't a bad league, and I think they're going to have a shock when going to Carrick-on-Shannon this weekend.
I'm not as convinced as I was before I came on the show. I just thought, I know, like you're talking about Leitrim, to put everything into the league, but they beat Wicklow easily, 116 to 112 in Ockram. I thought, like, to put up a performance against Roscommon, they needed a good start, and the concession of those early goals was just an absolute kick in the nuts. And I said to myself, do you know what? They're going to come out in the qualifiers now, and if they get a home tie against a side like Wicklow, I think we'll find out that this Leitrim team, I am a bit worried about the young lads leaving the panel, and obviously Emlyn Mulligan is a big loss, but I just think they've got a better crop of players. Wicklow have a good few veteran campaigners, and I just think this Wicklow team, I thought to put everything into that Kildare match, and I do have great time for John Evans, but I think this is going to be a home win, so I fancy Leitrim -2. Paddy O'Rourke, you have the casting vote.
This is my nap of the weekend, and it's Wicklow -1.
No.
Yeah, I think Wicklow are planning an ambush down in Carrick-on-Shannon at the weekend, and this is going to be it.
Okay, I'm feeling very, very sorry for myself here. I'm petrified now. I don't think the points in the Racing Post on Saturday will be quite as big after this podcast. So we've got 2 ringing endorsements for Wicklow, and my very, very small vote for Leitrim doesn't carry as much weight as the 2 experts. Okay, moving on to Innovate Wexford Park, 4:45 on Saturday. It is Wexford v Derry. Paddy, what way are you betting here?
It's 4-1 Wexford. The draw is 10s. Derry are 1-4, and it's a 5-point handicap.
Paddy Ahern, straightforward for Derry?
Yeah, I would think so. I think they're going to score as well. You could, we're 20.5 on site. If you looked at that, they scored 30 points in the league match. Now, that was the last game of the league and nobody gave a shite. But at the same time, I don't think that Wexford... Barry O'Connor's just gone to Australia there in the last week. I think they're going to get beaten. I think they're going to concede a fair bit as well.
Okay, Paddy O'Rourke?
I think the unders. I'm sticking with the unders. Derry, the total unders 35.5. I think 36 points is massive, and at 5 to 6, that could be another one to go into a couple of trebles or accumulators.
Oh yeah, you'll disagree on that one, but you won't disagree on the main one in Leitrim against Wicklow. Okay, so that is Wexford v Derry at 4:45 on Saturday, and the final game on Saturday evening, it is in the Gaelic grounds in Drogheda. It is Louth v Antrim. How are you betting here, Paddy?
It's 2-5 Louth, 15-2 the draw, 11-4 Antrim, and it is a 3-point handicap.
Okay, I'm probably going to get ridiculed here, but I think Antrim are a bit of value. What do you think, Paddy Ahern?
Yeah, it was one I kind of found it hard to make head nor tail of, really. I don't have a massive advantage. The one bet I kind of fell down on, I thought Jim McEnany was a decent price in any time goal score because he'll take penalties and he'd get chances, but I didn't have a massive opinion on it, I have to say.
And that kind of brings us on nicely to our anytime goal scorer expert, Mr. Paddy O'Rourke.
You're robbing my notes, Paddy. There, Jim Mack, anytime goal 4-1. I think that's massive.
Okay,
it's going to be a shootout. I think Louth and Antrim are just going to be a shootout in Drogheda, and points they'll break the points. And I think Jim Mack 4-1.
Okay, so Jim McEnany 4-1 anytime goal scorer, and Paddy O'Rourke has got a terrific record with his anytime goal scorer bet so far in this season's Postcast. So moving on to Sunday, and we're going to kick off in Croke Park at 2 o'clock. It is the Leinster Senior Football Championship semi-final between Meath and Laois. Paddy O'Rourke, is this the best Meath side since the one who reached the All-Ireland final? I think it was in 2009.
I don't think so. I don't think they're as good as that team was back in 2009. I think back then, I know it's only 10 years, but the age demographic has changed mad from back then. Like when I was only getting into the squad, there was lads, there were men, they were in their mid-30s. You know, I look around the team now, and you wouldn't get the same intimidation feel off most of the lads that are playing at the moment. They're just like they're 7 or 8 years younger than what that team was back in 2009.
And I'm going to ask you a question now. You don't have to answer it, but I'd appreciate if you did. You, ability-wise, are probably one of the most talented goalkeepers in Ireland. And I'm not just blowing smoke up your hole because you're on the podcast, but you are. Do you regret stepping away from the Meath scene?
No, I don't miss it. Like that, I don't miss it now. Yes, it'd be lovely to be going in and playing in Croke Park at the weekend. There'd be maybe 50 or 60,000 in by the end of the Meath match, and there'd be a good vibe and a good buzz. And if things go to plan, you'd have a Leinster final against Dublin again, and that would be brilliant to be involved in. But do I miss driving around the county 6 nights a week to go training? No, I don't.
Okay. So that's a pretty honest answer. Paddy Ahern, Meath v Laois. Two reasonably similar sides who have a lot of work to do to get towards Dublin. Who do you fancy in this one?
I think Meath are plenty short for it. That is not to say now. I mean, they were impressive last against Carlow, but I think Carlow are think the arse have fallen out of them a little bit. And I just thought that Westmeath would beat Laois, but Laois came with a very kind of defensive game plan. They're employing this for kind of most of this year now. I looked at their team before the game against Westmeath. I wasn't really too familiar with them, but they just went out with a game plan and employed it, and I think they're going to do very similar to this on Sunday. I think they're going to try and keep it very tight. Meath have a good record against teams like that, in fairness. Like, they did put up a decent score against Fermanagh in the league. I think in Croke Park against this Laois team, it might be a little bit more difficult, and it wouldn't, obviously it won't be a surprise if Meath win the game, but I think they're going to find it a little bit harder than people expect.
Okay, I think you've kind of half hit the nail on the head there. I think you were getting towards the point that I'm going to make, but you just didn't quite get there. I think the reason Meath play so well against the Fermanagh, and maybe in the last 15 minutes against Offaly, who played pretty defensive as well, and in recent times to have a good record against these defensively structured teams, is because they've got so much pace. They've got Cillian O'Sullivan, they've got Brian McMahon, they've got fellas that are able to keep really wide, and then break through the lines. And I think in Croke Park, I think we've seen against Donegal in the Division 2 final in the first half how effective Meath were in Croke Park because of their pace. And I think it's their pace that's going to absolutely leave Laois reeling here. Paddy O'Rourke, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm both excited and I'm nervous. I think I'm excited in the fact that it's the second time these boys are getting into Croke Park in a couple of months. a lot of them would have never played in Croke Park before this. The new crop of lads on the squad, so everything would be a bit more familiar. And the pitch and that, I think the width and the size of Croke Park, Laois won't be able to play their defensive game as well as they did in a tighter pitch. I'm still a little bit nervous with some of the stalwarts that Laois have. That they could hurt us around the middle. I think Carlow did that around the middle of the field, but I'm hopeful that Meath will break the -2, the handicap, and I'm going to give Brian McMahon my anytime goal scorer vote at 9-2.
Okay, and my bet on this would be maybe Laois under 14.5 points. Okay, moving on to the big one, I suppose we'll call it, at Croke Park on Sunday. It is All-Ireland champions Dublin v Kildare, 4 o'clock. Usually this would be there'd be a huge buzz around this game. Two superpowers of Leinster going together, but they're not even expecting. I think is it 30,000 they're expecting in Croke Park. It's not really the game it used to be. Paddy Ahern, how did you decide the handicap in this match?
Yeah, it's a 14-point handicap anyway. Dublin are even money, Kildare are 10-11, and Dublin are 1-80, Kildare are 20-1 if you fancy them to win the match. I suppose you're kind of, what you try and do with all these handicaps is you just try and retrace your steps. You kind of go back over history in the last couple of years. How have Dublin played? How have Dublin ended up scoreline wise in games against similar teams? So they played in the 2017 Leinster final, and I particularly remember we took on, which is as much as you can take on Dublin and Leinster, we went a 9-point handicap, and to be honest we were absolutely blessed to get it. I think they were 12 points up and there was a Paddy Bruff. I think Kildare might have got 2 late goals in it.
Couldn't have played any better.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. That was exactly it. They hit the top of the range really, and they were kind of blessed to stay within. I think we got the handicap draw, and we were blessed that they lost by 9. So you're looking at that now, and if you were pricing that game again, I know it's 2 years later, a lot of water under the bridge, but if you're pricing it again, if you're pricing it straight after that day, it probably would have been a 12-point handicap. And I think Dublin are just as good, maybe a little bit better. Kildare are not, because they're missing their best player and they've had a bit of a stop-start season so far. I don't see how they're going to come with anything different on Sunday that they haven't already done to trouble Dublin. Dublin have a lot of players who are looking to nail down starting positions. Even if Rock gets a couple of minutes, he's obviously feeling it under the cosh now with the way Costello has performed this year. And we're seeing a bit of money on Kildare plus 14, but I think 14 is, for me it's more than fair. I'd be struggling to back Kildare in the plus, really.
I swore to myself after the Loud game I'm never going to tip on the handicap in the Dublin match ever again, because I thought the handicap was colossal that day. It was 3 points to 1 after 9 minutes. Paul Mannion got sent off and it was still obliterated. So I've just given up trying to predict what Dublin are going to win by. Paddy O'Rourke, can you shed any light on this Dublin handicap? Will they beat it?
I think they will, and that's the scary thing. I think if you look back to that Leinster final in 2017, that was Kildare played to their strengths. They got, I think, 117 that day, and Dublin still kicked on and bet them easily. I think they're feeling sorry for themselves down in Kildare. I think all's not right in their setup. I think they're coming to the end of their term with the current manager, and I think Dublin are just going to crank into gear here. They'll beat that 14-point handicap.
Okay, Paddy Ahern, did you have a best bet on the coupon?
Yeah, I thought Dublin over 2.5 goals as well, just as Paddy alluded to there. If it is going away from Kildare in the second half, I'm not too sure how many lads are going to be busting a gut really to keep it going. And Dublin have the firepower, as they showed against Laois, that they can score. I think they'll score 3 goals handy enough.
Yeah, I think so as well. Mark Donnan didn't play well in the first game against Longford, but I still think he's a very good goalkeeper. That would be the only worry I'd have. He's a good shot stopper. Have you a best bet on the coupon, Paddy, or is it Dublin to beat the handicap?
Yeah, I think I was looking through the goal scoring markets there. If you wanted to throw in Con O'Callaghan, be closest to the goals for Dublin, and Dublin are going to win anyway. So if you want him at 15-8 to score a goal and Dublin to win, so that might be a bet. But I'd say just to beat the handicap is the safest one. Yeah,
I like the sound of that. Con O'Callaghan to get on the score sheet. Moving on to the replay of the Ulster Senior Football Championship semi-final. It's back to Clones for Cavan and Armagh, 4 o'clock. Paddy Ahern, some price and handicaps?
It's 5-6 Cavan, 15-2 the draw, 13-10 Armagh, Cavan -165, 8-1 handicap draw, Armagh +1 5-6.
Well, Lord Holy God, anybody that listened to the podcast last week would have heard me being very, very sweet on Armagh. And I'm working at Listowel races. Check the score with I think 11 minutes to go. Armagh are 4 points up. They're with the wind. They've got an extra man. And they go maybe 1-8 in running. What the hell happened, Paddy Ahern?
Yeah, it's a bit of a worrying trend, isn't it? Like the same thing happened with Down. Down, they were absolutely home and hose with Caelan Mooney sent off with, whatever they were ahead. Like again, they were probably about 1-20 in running that day, and they blew it again. It's just a little bit. It's very worrying how they're closing out games because they do have so much talent. Like Jarlath Old Burns, like that was a performance of the ages. He was absolutely colossal the other day. Unbelievable. Now Jamie Clark was a little bit below form, but then they had they did a lot of very, very good performers throughout the team, and Pádraig Faulkner as well getting off of the black card. Like it's very, very arguable that everything went right for Armagh in the 70 minutes and they still didn't win the game. They're still, they're looking good in games. They seem to be doing everything right, but that's a massive problem the way they're closing out games, I think.
So who do you think will win?
I think that it's going to be very, very tight again, but I just fell down on Cavan because at the same time, like I'm just looking at the negatives from last week in terms of both teams. Like Faulkner going off early, Martin Riley was quiet compared to what he was the first day. Kerridge McKiernan was grand, he got on a lot of ball, but he can play better. I think there's more positives to come from Cavan. And one bet I did like as well, just in the theme of Armagh, I thought Armagh half-time, Cavan full-time. It was around kind of 4-1, 9-2, and if I was having a bet, that's what I'd be leaning towards.
Paddy O'Rourke, what way do you see this one going?
I don't know if you're going to like this, DJ. I fancy Armagh to win at 13-10.
Beautiful.
You like that, you do?
Yeah, I just think Armagh are a better team than Cavan at the moment, and I think they kind of proved it for maybe 55 minutes of the drawn match, and I thought they were a far better team than Down as well.
Yeah, I think they finally, maybe McGeeney has finally found lads that are willing to buy into his theories and buy into his thought process a bit more than maybe some of the lads that he inherited from previous managers. So he's probably sculpting lads to bring along Armagh football, and this could be their chance. This would be a massive breakthrough for them. So they're on the cusp of something if they can just follow it through now at the weekend.
Yeah, I think so. And I think the fact that while they have been giving up big leads, they're still not getting beaten. They still won in extra time against Down, and they still managed to hang on for a replay against Cavan. So the fact that they haven't been beaten, I think, will stand to them. So I'm a big Armagh fan in that one as well. Okay, let's quickly delve into the qualifiers on Sunday. It is 1:45, Clonus, Monaghan v Fermanagh. Paddy Ahern, can we get some price and handicaps?
Yeah, it's 1-4 Monaghan, 9-1 the draw for Fermanagh, 4-1, and it's a 4-point handicap.
Yeah, this could be an eyesore, couldn't it, Paddy O'Rourke?
Yeah, I think if you look at all the rest of the games, the points here for Fermanagh to score over 10.5 points really says it all. I think they managed. It's a big ask, but like if you look at their league form, 8 points was the handicap for most of their games in the league, and they weren't even able to break that. It's going to be they don't care. They do not care, and they've stated that they don't care what anybody else thinks. This is the way they're going to play, and this is the way the players have bought into Gallagher's thinking. So let them off. I won't be watching anyway.
No, and what's the best bet on the coupon?
I actually fancy Fermanagh to score over 10.5 points. I think that's for an inter-county team. That's too low. They get a goal, they only have to get 8 points. They might leave Quigley on to kick the frees. They missed him against Donegal when they took him off. So that's 5-6. And Fermanagh +4 is 10-11. I don't think Monaghan will beat them by that much.
Okay, Paddy Ahern, could this potentially be the end of the road for Malachy O'Rourke? I think certainly in 2019. I don't think he'll be Monaghan manager in 2020. Could this be the end of Monaghan?
I think he'll probably just find a way. Like, they have players, and if they get the ball to McManus enough, I think they'll find a way to win the match. The market seems to have copped on to the fact that Fermanagh cannot score a goal to save their life. They've scored 2 goals in 8 games, and that was in the one game against Tipperary. they're a horrific team to watch. I can't wait for them to be out of the championship. And the only bet that I saw on it was Monaghan to be the only team to score a goal at 9-5. You can back the no goal at kind of 11-4, 13-5. It is kind of short enough, but I'd probably just prefer to back, because I don't think Fermanagh is going to score a goal, and you mightn't be interested in the 4-6. But if you want to just back Monaghan to score a goal essentially on their own at 9-5, that's probably the best bet.
Lovely stuff. Moving on to Park Esler in Newry at 2 o'clock on Sunday. Down v Tipperary. What way do Paddy Power bet on this?
It's 4-6 down, 15-2 the draw, and 13-8 tip, and it is a 1 point handicap.
I fancy the home side here, Paddy Ahern. I think Down will win comfortably.
Yeah, I do as well. I think the wheels are falling off big time on tip. Like, if you looked at the way that form was franked last week by Limerick, I know Limerick actually should have had a goal after 30 seconds and then literally didn't kick a ball for the rest of the 70. And tip, I think Liam Kearns is going quickly towards the end of the road. I think he might have outstayed his welcome a small bit. He's had very good days at tip. They have very good footballers as well. But I think Down and their kind of system is going to prevail in Newry on Sunday.
Yeah, I think if you're to use form horse racing analogies, it'd be like Tipperary getting beaten by a horse in Gowran Park, and then the horse in Gowran Park that beat Tipperary going to Ballinrobe potentially and finishing last in a cellar. That's how bad that form is, given what Limerick showed against Cork. How do you see this one going, Paddy O'Rourke?
Don't insult Ballinrobe like that. It's a great little track.
I couldn't think of a worse track. Sorry, we'll go with Tramore or Wexford. We'll go with Wexford. Yeah, I hate Wexford.
Yeah. That's better. I don't really have much interest in the. I think Down will probably win, but I think maybe Quinlivan to score a goal anytime is 11-4. He's their only threat, and he did get a goal against Limerick when their backs were to the wall, and he's a great forward.
Okay, very quickly through the other two games on Sunday. Carlow v Longford, Netwatch Dr. Cullen Park, 3 p.m. How do you bet on this one, Paddy?
7-4 Carlow, 15-2 the draw, 8-13 Longford, and just about a 2 point handicap in favour of Longford.
I have absolutely no idea what's going to happen here. Paddy O'Rourke, do you?
I just hope Carlow get bet out the gate and we never see them for the rest of the year.
Okay, that's a ring endorsement for Carlow football. Paddy Ahern?
Yeah, I think they will get beaten. Now, the 6-day turnaround is still a bit of a thing for Longford, but Sean Murphy being out, all the boys off the line for Carlow, again, I think it's going to be very hard for them to get a result. I think Longford are a better team. They beat them in the league down there without them unlocked the lads, and I think they'll beat them again Sunday.
Yeah, it could finish about 3 points to 2 potentially. Westmeath v Waterford. It's at Cusack Park in Mullingar at 3 o'clock. And how do you bet on this, Paddy?
Yeah, it's 10s on Westmeath, 14-1 the draw, and 15-2 Waterford, and it is a 7 point handicap.
Oh, that I'd say Waterford could keep within that, could they, Paddy?
Yeah, there's every chance. Yeah, I was kind of looking at under 31.5 more so. The Waterford's biggest problem might be scoring, but I don't think they're going to concede that much up in Mullingar. Like, they're a panel that are together and they're well set up, so there's no reason why they can't stay in within 7.
Paddy O'Rourke, best bet on the coupon?
I think Westmeath to beat the handicap -7. I think they were very disappointed against Laois. They had a lot of confidence in the team, in the squad, in the new management down there, and I think this could be a bit of a statement.
Okay, very interesting. Okay, so that is our jam-packed weekend of football action. All that's left to do now is reveal our best bets of the weekend.
This will not be beaten.
Okay, as I'm the host of the show and I dictate what happens in the running order, I'm going to go first, and I'm going to go for Leitrim -2. Paddy O'Rourke, what's your best bet of the weekend?
I'm going to take you on. Wicklow -1 is 3-1.
Okay, Wicklow -1 at 3-1. I know we like to have 3 different ones for a treble on the Paddy Power site, but we're gonna let this one go for this week because it's a big rivalry. Paddy Ahern, what's your best bet of the weekend in the football front, Paddy?
I think both teams to score a goal in Donegal and Tyrone at 6-5.
Okay, so both teams to score a goal in Donegal and Tyrone, and because yous are the ones that people are really tuning in to listen to, we're going to go for Paddy O'Rourke and Paddy Ahern's tips on the Paddy Power site. So that's going to be a double that's going to be enhanced on the Paddy Power site. Wicklow -1 and both teams to score a goal in Donegal v Tyrone. Isn't that right, Paddy?
Yeah, that's it. And we've done a thing with the coupon as well. We'll probably try and enhance each individual ones on the coupons in the shops as well. So one for DJ, one for Paddy O'Rourke, one for myself.
Excellent. That is fantastic stuff. It's time to draw breath, but you don't have too long, because joining us in part 2 to preview all the hurling action is Aidan Fogarty.
Friends, or maybe more. Earn a 20 quid free bet for every friend you refer to Paddy Power, thanks to our Friends with Benefits programme. Log in to your Paddy Power account and share your referral link to get started. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Welcome back to this week's GAA Postcast in association with Paddy Power. I'm David Jennings from the Racing Post, and I'm joined by Paddy Power representative Paddy Ahern. And for all the hurling chat, we are joined by our hurling expert Aidan Fogarty. Before we kick in to this weekend's action, let's have our 3 quickfire questions. And the first one is to you, Aidan Fogarty. If you were the Waterford hurling manager, Pádraig Fanning, what would your team talk be on Saturday evening? Now keep it clean.
Yeah, there'll be no hurls banging off the tables anyway, that's for sure. I think them days are well gone. But look, it's a hard place. Waterford are a tough place. Like it's a Nottingham game. And this has been kind of coming. If you look at the results all year long, they've won. They've actually lost the last 7 championship games. Have won a championship game in 2 years' time, and they've drawn 1 game. So like it's really hard. They're going down to obviously play Cork, which is Cork need to win badly. But look, if I was Pádraig Fanning, I wouldn't go cliches if wear the pride of the jersey and all that. I'd have a meeting earlier on the week, and I'd get the players to talk, and I'd have to talk them out on a Tuesday night, and get them to talk about their own struggles, get to know each other. They're like as if they're not even playing for each other, or their friendships are after kind of losing this or going a small bit, if you get me. And these lads need to buy into each other, and they really need to play for each other. And I suppose you do talk about pride, but it's about yourself now, and it's about getting to know the lads and getting to play for your family, and throw all the kind of, I suppose, bullshit out the window of the media, of how bad Waterford are going, of the good old days of the John Millans and all that. Throw all that out the window, bring it back to basics, and say, look, it's a match for 60 minutes, and play it like it's your last match. When I was retiring from Kilkenny, I picked the year to 2014 that I said I was going to go, and the mentality I went out in was every game I was going to play that this could be my last game for Kilkenny, and it could be my last game for the club. And that's the way they need to look at it now, and just throw off the shackles, no pressure, and just go for it. And Pádraig himself, I think, needs to kind of, get a bit intimate with the players as well. I think they're lacking that Derek McGrath switch over. They're like as if they lost their spiritual leader, and they're a bit aimless at the minute. And I think Pádraig Fanning needs to bring something else to it as well, and just really buy into him. And look, you'd wish them all the best luck, because they're not that bad of a team. They have good hurlers, but they're just not clicking.
I think Pádraig Fanning should ring Aidan Fogarty and get him in to give the team talk after that. That's what I think. Okay, number 2, and I just want a name. I don't want any reasoning. You don't have to justify it. Not including Brian Cody. Who is the best hurling manager in the business right now?
John Kiely for me.
That'll do. I'm happy with John Kiely. Okay. No, that's fine. John Kiely is fine. Number 3, what is the worst bet you've ever had with the benefit of hindsight?
Well, I'll talk about my first bet I ever had. It was in school, and I was only 17, so not that bad. I was 17. I got another guy to put it on for me, and my someone else. Well, that couldn't even be online back then, because there was no such thing as online. But it was 16 to 1. Someone gave me a tip. I put on a tenner. It was actually pounds at the time, and it came in. And I was very naive. I was like, someone gives you a tip, you put on a tenner, and this is going to win. So it came in. I got me £170 back, or whatever it was. So about 2 days later, the same fella gave me a tip. I lumped on the £100, and I'd say the horse is still running. And that was the last time. I didn't bet for a long time after that. But I was very naive. I thought when you get a tip, this is a sure thing, but obviously not.
No, obviously not. No, I can vouch for that. Certainly. Okay, Paddy Ahern, your 3 quickfire questions. How was last weekend from a Paddy Power perspective on the hurling front, and what was your worst result?
It was the bloodbath that everyone's been waiting for, that they've been tuning in for 4 weeks, trying to get us caught, and by Jesus, they caught us last weekend. Limerick were brutal. They were bad pre-match, and then in play, it was just impossible. You could never keep it short enough. The handicap was never, ever big enough. We got well caught, yeah. And
did you actually know that there was a wind there, by the way?
Oh, yeah, we certainly did, and there was a lot of punchers.
Running.
It wasn't me anyway.
I hope it wasn't, because I was looking at the wind going, I don't think they realise how strong this wind is.
Yeah, but at the same time, there was a good few fellas burned as well, in terms of back in Waterford half-time and all that kind of stuff, and back in Waterford half-time Limerick full-time, because they got absolutely screwed out, I have to say.
Yeah, absolutely. What was the biggest bet struck with Paddy Power in the Hurling Championship last weekend? Who was it on?
There was a pre-match bet on Limerick. There was $8,000 on Limerick, and in fairness to your man, he picked it out.
Good punter?
Yeah, very much so.
Okay, $8,000 on Limerick. That is a juicy wager. Okay, what is the worst possible result for Paddy Power this weekend in the Hurling Championship? So what is the one result you don't want?
The early doors, it's looking like Limerick to do something similar to last week, or to do something similar to what Tip did to Clare as well. The bigger Limerick win by, the worse it's going to be for us. Okay,
let's move on quickly to this weekend's action. The Munster Senior Hurling Championship, round 4. It is Porky Queeve, 7 o'clock Saturday, live on Sky Sports, and it is your 2019 All-Ireland champions Cork, who are facing Waterford. How are we betting on this one, Paddy Ahern?
It's 1-14 Cork, 16-1 the draw, 9-1 on Waterford. It's a 9-point handicap as well, 10-11 Cork, 11-1 the draw, and Waterford +9 is even money.
Now, Aidan Fogarty, we all know that Cork are going to win the All-Ireland this year, but is this a potential banana skin for them, given the ridiculing that Waterford got in the media last weekend?
Possibly, but I can't see it. Cork need to win this game. They need to get to progress. Waterford are playing for, as I said, maybe just the pride of the jersey and all that. So, as far as the banana skin, I don't think so. But as far as maybe the Cork ruthlessness of putting away a team towards the end of a game, if there's a high score after winning by maybe 6 or 7 points, Tipperary done it, Limerick done it, but I don't know if Cork actually had the ruthlessness. It kind of could turn into maybe kind of a practice match atmosphere, I feel. But I don't think it's going to be a banana skin for Cork. Cork need to win it badly.
Okay, Paddy Ahern, are Waterford actually potentially just as bad as they looked last Sunday? Are they actually just not a good side?
I don't think so. I think they're very much caught in between two systems. Like, a lot of them were very loyal to Derek, and a lot of them were very used to how they played, and they just seemed to be very lost in the first couple of games. They were very, very poor against Clare and were blessed to come out to only lose the game by a point. In their games previous, they've just looked a fair bit off. It's just a weird, strange kind of lull the teams kind of get dragged into when things are going badly, and like, it was kind of epitomised by Pádraig Mahoney lashing out the other day. He's not that kind of fella at all. Like, he's just got so frustrated that he couldn't see anything else. By the way, as well, watching that Sunday game, with Pádraig Fanning coming out defending him for that, saying it wasn't a red card. I don't know what planet he's on. Like, he seems to be kind of losing the plot as well. I'd be very, very worried for them on Saturday evening as well. Like, I mean, they were in the exact same situation.
I'd be not only worried for them on Saturday evening, I'd be very worried for them on Sunday in the Sunday papers.
Yeah, like, I mean, they were actually in pretty much the same situation. They were out when they went to Cork last year, and with 5 minutes left, they actually should have won the game, and they played really, really well. But that was a Derek McGrath swan song, and those guys were really kind of looking to give him a good send-off. I think it was very well known that he was going to leave. I don't think you're going to get that this week. I think they're going to get well beaten.
Okay, so you think they're going to get well beaten. How bad is it going to be? What's the best bet on the coupon?
Yeah, I think the best bet on the coupon is just, like, again, they're struggling so much to even create goal chances, never mind scoring goals. I don't know who is going to come in. Like, Patrick Hearn and Kieran Bennett were gone from the panel before last weekend. We didn't even know that beforehand. It came out afterwards that they'd left. Pádraig Mahoney is gone. Who the hell is going to score their goals? Cork to be the only team to score a goal was that was the best bet that I found in the coupon.
Okay, Aidan Fogarty, how do you see this one going?
Yeah, he picked my brain, definitely. My bet was no Waterford goals. They haven't scored a goal this year so far, and I just don't see where it's coming from. Maurice Shannon taking off at half time. Austin Gleeson was taking off at half time. You know, Ken McGrath said 2 years ago, actually, said they were rudderless and leaderless, and that was 2 years ago, and they got to the All-Ireland final that year, and, you know, it never even looked like winning it. And now the very same issues have coming up. They're rudderless, they're leaderless. You know, they haven't got the players, they haven't got the fight in them at the minute, so I don't see where the goals are going to come from. So I think Cork are going to win. I'm not sure about the size of the win Cork are going to win by, because I just have a feeling Cork will take their foot off the gas a small bit. But no Waterford goals at 8-5 is my best bet. Who's on?
And Paddy Ahern, just for people that are listening in here, and they're kind of saying to themselves, yeah, David Jennings is right, Cork are going to win the Hurling All-Ireland. What price are Cork at the moment to lift Liam McCarthy in 2019? Yeah,
at the minute we are 5-1 for Cork to win the All-Ireland.
What a price. 5-1. You won't get many better 5-1 shots this year than Cork to win the All-Ireland. Okay, moving on to the Leinster Senior Hurling Championship. It should be straightforward stuff. It's Wexford v Carlow in Innovate Wexford Park, also at 7 o'clock on Saturday night. Some prices and handicaps, Paddy.
150 Wexford, 33-1 the draw. Carlow are 14-1. It's -12 Wexford, 10-11, 12-1 the handicap draw. Even money Carlow +12.
Okay, we've done a lot of talking on this podcast. All we want to know, Paddy Ahern, is what is the best bet on the coupon?
The best bet in the coupon is Wexford minus. They have to up their scoring difference. Carlow are now out, and if there's one thing that Davy loves to do, it's hammer kind of weak teams. If you ever look at the Walsh Cup a couple of years ago, I remember a game against UCD, and he was put 5-31 of them up on them playing their full team. It's just something that he's mental to do, and I think they're going to win well.
So what's the handicap?
12 points.
12, yeah. I think they'll win by more than 12. Aidan Fogarty, do you think they will?
I think so, yeah. I think Davy is dead right, yeah. He's going to hammer it home, and Kilkenny are coming to Innovate Wexford Park the week after, and he's going to want to make a big statement. So I think he'll beat the handicap at -12 as well, yeah.
Excellent. So it's 3 votes for Wexford -12. We can't say fairer than that. We're all singing from the same hymn sheet. So moving on to Sunday, it's the big one, Nolan Park, 2 o'clock. It is Kilkenny v Galway. And if you haven't heard the betting or haven't been on Paddy Power's site, you might get a bit of a surprise when Paddy Ahern tells you what price Kilkenny are.
Yeah, Kilkenny are 4-6. The draw is 8-1. Galway are 13-8. Kilkenny -2 is 11-10. The handicap draw is 10-1. Galway +2 is 5-6.
Aidan Fogarty, Kilkenny long odds on to beat the 2017 All-Ireland champions Galway. Do Kilkenny actually deserve to be favourites for this game?
I think so. Looking at Galway, I suppose they've been lacklustre. Like they played Carlow in the first round, and stumbled over, and then drew against Wexford up in Salt Hill, their own backyard, which was a horrific game. I know there was a bad wind and all that, and conditions wasn't great, but the hurling was atrocious, I felt. And then if you look at the flip side of Kilkenny played Dublin, good first half by Dublin, but Kenny really kicked on, and they finished actually a better team. They put Pádraig Welch back centre back, the Hugh Lawler back full back. Richie Leahy come on as well to make a difference. So I think Kilkenny going into this game, it's their backyard. They finished a better team against Dublin. They bet Carlow well out the field. I think it was 322 to 114 to bet them. So put up a high score there, and their forwards are getting a little better. And I think Brian Cody, with the break of the 2 weeks, Kilkenny like the break of 2 weeks. They're well able to prepare for it. They do their own training. It's intense. And they're able to click for the higher games. Sometimes teams find it difficult not to play a championship game and go on the week after. But Kilkenny are able to do this and do it well. We've done it before, that the 2 weeks break suits them. And I think they'll relish Galway coming down to Nolan Park. It is a fortress. And the way Galway are hurling, they're not going great. Now, that's to say there could be a kick in them, but I still feel Kilkenny are a favourite for Sunday.
Okay, and what do you think is the best bet on the coupon, Aidan?
Well, I do, as I said, Kilkenny, I think they're going to win, and I think Kilkenny will win to 4-6 points, and that's at 9-2. I think they will. I think just on the club scene as well, Buckley was back, played a full game. James Maher played a half match as well, so these lads are going to be involved as well. So I think Kilkenny are going to be a better setup. So Kilkenny to win by 4-6 points at 9-2, I think is a decent bet. Okay,
excellent stuff. Kilkenny to win by 4, 5 or 6 points at 9-2 with Paddy Power is Aidan Fogarty's best bet in Kilkenny v Galway. Paddy Ahern, how do you see this one going?
Yeah, I fancy Kilkenny as well, if I'm honest about it. I thought that the Wexford game was very, very poor from Galway perspective. They were very, very lucky to come out with anything from the game to come out with a point. I thought they were blessed because of the amount of wides that Wexford hit, and even under the cosh in the second half. The one thing I would say about Kilkenny is the last couple of years of Kilkenny, the spine has been very, very strong, we'll say, in the last 2 years. So you've got TJ, you've got Walter Walsh. The midfield has been decent enough. You had Killian Buckley centre back, and Pádraig Welch has been full back. But outside of that, and the supporting cast, we'll say just outside those guys, hasn't really, in terms of the standard that Kilkenny are used to, they haven't really stood up that much in the last couple of years. I think that's really changing now. Taggy kind of just touched on it in the sense that Killian Buckley is now back. He played for club the other day. James Maher played a half a game. Richie Hogan played for his club. He's going to be in the mix. Conor Delaney, I'm not really sure, but if he plays, he's he's a huge addition to those guys. Owen Murphy is then to come back in, and you've got guys like Billy Ryan. Ger Aylward is still there. Adrian Mullen looks like a real talent when he comes in, and Tommy Walsh as well at cornerback. So I think that supporting cast is coming on big time, especially for this year. I think Kilkenny are genuinely dark horses for the All Ireland. I think they've, if they win this game, they've a massive chance of getting straight into an All Ireland semi final, and then it's Kilkenny back in Croke Park. So I mean, I'd be worried from Galway perspective, I have to say.
Okay, well, I think the best bet on the coupon is for under 24.5 Kilkenny points at 4-6 Paddy Power. Wet, miserable day. Looks like it could brighten up towards the latter stages, but still going to be a wet slitter. I think it's going to be very hard for Kilkenny to get to 25 points. Okay, so the final game on Sunday, it's 4 o'clock at the Gaelic Grounds in Limerick. It's All-Ireland champions Limerick against Clare in a crunch Munster Championship clash. Neither side can afford to be beaten. Paddy Ahern, can we get some price and handicaps?
Yeah, Limerick at the minute are 2-5. The draw is 10-1, Clare 5-2. The handicap is Limerick -3 at 10-11, 11-1 the handicap draw, even money Clare +3.
Now, Aidan Fogarty, somebody reminded me during the week that you tipped Clare as dark horses for the All-Ireland a couple of weeks ago. You have your fans out there, and one of them reminded me. Aidan Fogarty tipped Clare to win the All-Ireland a couple of weeks ago. Could you ask him, would he like to change his mind? Now is your chance, Aidan.
Yeah, right, DJ. Look, they've been a big disappointment for me so far this year. Like the last year, looking at Clare, you had John Conlon, you had Peter Duggan, and you had Tony Kennedy Lord it there. This year, they're just not firing us. And John Conlon, especially for me, he's the target man. He's the go-to man. And albeit he's getting on ball, but he's not the same person he was last season so far. He's striking is poor, and wide that he should be getting. And Tony Kelly needs to be in the game big time, and Peter Duggan also, I feel as well. I still think, I did say that Clare wouldn't win the Munster Championship, but they have a better chance of winning their Ireland if they get out of Munster. And this is where the dilemma is. If Clare get out of Munster, I still think there's a better team in them in Croke Park. And I think if you look at Limerick last year, they stuttered a small bit as well in the Munster Championship, but barely got out of it and kicked on and won the All-Ireland. So I still think if Clare get out of Munster, they have a chance of winning the All-Ireland, but they need to get that fighting spirit back. That's what the big thing for me was. They have the hurlers, but it was the drive, the intensity, the spirit that was missing last weekend. Wherever it went to, I don't know, but it has to be shown a little bit at least on Sunday. A huge game for Clare and also a huge game for Limerick.
Okay, so the answer to that question is no for Aidan Fogarty's biggest fan. No, he doesn't want to change his mind, and he still thinks Clare could potentially win the All-Ireland. Paddy Ahern, how do you see this one going?
Yeah, like I just touched on at the start of the show, Limerick, we're getting bowled over by Limerick. People can't see any other result. I think they're going to hammer them all together. But I just think the people who are looking at aren't looking at any kind of a head-to-head record over the two teams in the last couple of years. Obviously in Ennis last year, the Tom Condon sending off was a big influence, but Clare still absolutely ran riot that day. There's been two draws since in the league. And the thing about traditionally Clare, one thing that would really annoy Limerick people is Clare have never ever feared Limerick. They've always kind of had this sense of superiority that they think they can beat them no matter what kind of team they're putting out. And I think there has to be a backlash from Clare. I think their big players were so awful the last year. Like in fairness, Barrett did an extremely good job, and Shane O'Donnell. John Conlon, I'd be worried about his form, I have to say now. He was very poor, and then Brendan Maher just completely put the clampers on Kelly as well. But I don't think that the three of those guys are going to play as bad as they did the last time again. Conor Cleary is going to come back. He's going to come back in centre back. He's going to shore the thing up a bit. Jack Brown is going to go back into the corner. I just think it was a really, really bad day at the office for Clare last week. I'm not too sure they're going to win the match, but I think that I think the odds are they've definitely moved the dial a bit too much as well. I would never have Limerick at 2-5 shots against Clare, even in the Gaelic grounds, because the Gaelic grounds isn't like a fortress for Limerick or anything like it. I think Clare are going to give them a right rattle, to be honest. So with that in mind, what's the best bet on the coupon? I'd say Clare +3. Clare +3 at even money was just keep it simple. That's what I came down on. Excellent. And Aidan Fogarty, your best bet in Limerick v Clare?
Yeah, I think the handicap Limerick -3 at 10-11 there is a good bet. I think Limerick will win it. But I think there's going to be a kick in Clare. We'll talk about kicking Waterford, but I think Clare have the players to actually make a drive and make a match of this. And I think they'll be set up differently, and there'll be a bit of fight in them. And as I said, down through the years, Limerick and Clare have tipped the odds. So I'm still going for Limerick. So that could be a nice little double there, Aidan. You could back Limerick -3 to beat Clare, and then Clare to win the All-Ireland. Yeah, it makes no sense really. But would that be a related bet, Paddy Ahern?
We'd let it fly now, I have to say. We'd be happy enough to take that if we could.
There we go. So that is this weekend's hurling action. All that's left for us to do now is reveal our best bets in the hurling championship this weekend.
This will not be beaten.
Okay, so I'm going to get the ball rolling and I'm going to go for under 24.5 Kilkenny points at 4-6 with Paddy Power against Galway. Aidan Fogarty, your best bet of the weekend?
Best bet, Limerick and Kilkenny both win at 8-5.
Okay, so it is a Limerick and Kilkenny double at 8-5. And Paddy Ahern, your best bet on the hurling coupon?
Wexford minus 12. Yeah, I think they're going to just kind of keep going. I think they're going to win well.
Excellent. So we're going to have that bet up on the Paddy Power website and it will be enhanced. We're going to take a deep breath now because that's the end of this week's show. We've managed to get through 16 games. I hope you enjoyed it all. My thanks to Paddy O'Rourke who joined us in part 1 for the football chat, to Aidan Fogarty and to Paddy Ahern from our sponsors Paddy Power. We'll be back with you next week.
Check out Paddy's Rewards Club. Simply place 5 bets of £10 or more across any sport in a week and you'll get a free £10 bet then next week. T&Cs apply. 18+, begambleaware.org.